Okay, so we're just gonna be focused on quadratic. Do you know how to solve quadratic functions? Okay, so we're gonna just start out by going through some quadratic functions and see if you could find the roots of the quadratic functions. So we have something called roots, which is the x-intercepts, right? Do you know how you find the y value? Like when it intercepts the y? No? Okay. So when we try to find where it intercepts the y, we have to set all the x's to 0. Right? So we're gonna get this a little later, part 2. So let's just say we have the quadratic function Hey Swati, we are building on quadratic functions and today we will be focused on graphing them. Okay? So let's say we have the function f of x equals x squared minus 5x plus 6x. Right? Oh, plus 6. Just 6. Sorry. So how would we find the roots of this function? Darcy, do you know how to do it the fast method like this? Or okay, you know it's Swati. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I remember teaching you Swati. I don't. Dwarski wasn't here last class, so do you know how to find the intercepts quickly, Dwarski? I can't hear you. Sorry, you're a little too quiet. No, okay. So there's an easy way we could see. We know that the a values have to a and b values multiply. So we do multiply and we do add. So it has to multiply into 6 times 1. So mult equals 6, add equals 5. So we know that when we multiply 2 and 3, we get 6. But when we multiply 2 and 3, we don't get negative 5. So we can multiply by negatives because 2 negatives make a positive. So we could do negative 2 and negative 3, right? Because negative 3 times negative 2 equals 6. Negative 2 minus negative plus negative 3 equals negative 5. So these work, right? So we got our 2 intercepts, which means our x-intercepts are 2, 0, and 3, 0. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm gonna give you guys a couple practice problems to see you're completely like fine with solving the roots, and then we're gonna move on to the graphing. Okay? So try solving this one. f of x equals x squared minus 7x plus 12. So this should take you like 5 minutes, right? X squared minus 7x. So I'll just so yeah, just let me know when you guys have an answer. Then we can go from there. Okay, what did you get? 3 and 4. Okay. Let's wait for Swati and then we will do this. You got the same thing? Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's good. I'll just solve it again just to make sure, you know. So if we have x, what adds to -7 and multiplies to 12? Yeah, 3 and 4, minus 3, minus 4. So these are our x-intercepts. Does anybody know how we find the y-intercept? Oh, I'm asking, does anybody know how we find the y-intercept? Okay. No? Okay. What about you, Dworsky? Do you know? Do you know how to find the y-intercept? Okay, and how did you come up with that? Yeah, so you were on the right track. Yeah. Yeah, go on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So we have to do f of 0 equals 0 squared minus 7 times 0 plus 12, which is just f of 0 equals 0 minus 0 plus 12, just f of 0 equals 12, right? So then y-intercept is 0 to 12. So does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we got our y-intercept as 0 to 12, and we got our roots as 3 and 4. So the way we would graph this is, if we had a coordinate graph, we would have an x value at 3, an x value at 4, right? So at 3, 4, we'll have, we'll have 4, 0, and then 3, 0. Then we know it crosses it at 0, 12. Right? So then we would graph it like, go like this. Right? And does anybody know what our vertex would be? Yeah, the vertex would be the lowest point or the highest point of a graph. There can be two vertexes, but not for quadratic functions, if that makes sense. Yeah, so quadratic functions, it's what we call a minimum or maximum. Yeah, because we're gonna continue right now, that's why. No, because we still have to learn how to graph and find vertex and stuff. That's why. Yeah. Alright, so does anybody know how we find the vertex? Yes, no, maybe. You guys can give it an attempt. No one knows. Okay, to find the vertex, we have to look in between the two x values, right? So what is the middle number between 3 and 4? Okay, to find the vertex, we have to use the formula x1 plus x2 divided by 2, right? So when we plug in our numbers 3 and 4, we get 3 plus 4 divided by 2, which is just 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5, right? So this is a mathematical way to do it, but you could also just like look at it and be like, yeah, this looks like 3.5 because that's the middle, right? So then we're stuck with 3.5 comma blank, right? And then to find the question mark, we have to plug 3.5 back into our function. Hi Tejshri, that's okay, we're just learning how to graph it. I'll do another example problem after this one, so you can be familiar with it, right? So, if we have 3.5 and then we have a question mark, we go to our original equation, and then we do f of 3.5 equals 3.5 squared plus, what was it? Minus 7 times 3.5 plus 12. Right. So then you would just solve this and you would get 3.5 squared, which is something like 12.6, right? 12.25. 3.5. Oh, yeah. There we go. My bad. Thank you. And then we do 7 times 3.5, right? Easy way of doing this would be 7 times half is just, 3.5, and you do 7 times 3. That's more when the numbers get more complicated, but we are just focusing on graphing the quadratic function. So I will do another problem after this one, don't worry. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you that all again. I'll just finish this one problem and then we could revise, right? So and then we just plug in the 12 because there's no x. So we have this function. We know this plus this becomes 24.25. And then this becomes minus 24.5. And then when we minus this, we get 0.25. Right, so that's our y value. And we would write that as f of 3.5 equals 0.5. So then this question mark then becomes 0.5, negative 0.5, right? Because we did positive, we did a smaller number minus a bigger number, which gives us a negative, and that adds up because this is below y equals 0, right? Because let me do better. This is 0, 0. So does everybody get how we find the y value, the y-intercept, x-intercepts, and vertex? Swati, Dworsky, makes sense? Yeah. Okay. So let me do one more for Tapestry, and then I'll give you guys a problem to do on your own, okay? So Tapestry, do you remember how we find the x-intercepts? Okay, so let's... Oh, okay, I thought you were there last week. Okay, so let's say we have g of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 15, right? So like a fast way to do this that I recommend to everybody is these two multiply and then add, right? So we do multiplies to 15, adds to 8. So what adds to 8 and multiplies to 15? Oh, it should add to negative 8. So we know the intercepts 5 and 3. 5 times 3 is 15, but 5 plus... Yeah, exactly. So that's why yeah. I always start off with positive numbers, and then we can see, like, oh, it has to be negative 8, so we flip the signs for both of them. Because we have to remember that when we multiply two negative numbers, they make a positive number, and when we add two negative numbers, they still give us a negative number, right? So then this becomes negative 3, negative 5. Your x-intercepts are 3, 0, and then 5, 0. Are we clear on that? Yeah? Okay. So, we found our x-intercepts. I'll start making a little graph here. So our x-intercept is at, let's do this, oops, 3 comma 0, 5 comma 0, and let's find a y-intercept. So g of x, how do we find the y-intercept again, guys? What do we do? What? Not quite. How do we find the y-intercept? I said when we have the y-intercept, the x is always 0. Does that make sense? So do you see how in this function we do f of x, right? And then I set the x to, did I do it? I set the x to 0. So then all the x's become 0. So then that gives us the y-intercept. So in this case, we would do g of 0 equals the equation x squared. So that'd be 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 15, right? Yeah. So then this gives us an equation of 15. So 0, 15 is the y-intercept. So then we could graph that over here. 0, 15, right? And then remember to find the vertex, we have to do x1 plus x2 divided by 2, which would be 3 plus 5 divided by 2, which is then 8 divided by 2, which is then 4. Okay, so we know it's 4, but we don't know what the y value is, so we plug it back in, and then we do g of 4. G of 4 equals 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 15, which gives us g of 4 has 16 minus 32 plus 15. So g of 4, we can cancel these out, which gives us negative 16 plus 15. So g of 4 equals negative 1. Okay, so then it'd be 4, negative 1. So your graph would look something like, something like that. Any questions? Does that make sense? Which steps? The x-intercept, vertex, y-intercept. Y-intercept? Okay. So do you see how we graph it like x1 and then y? It's graphed x and y. So the x is always 0. Always 0 for y-intercept, right? So then in our function, we just do the x becomes 0. So x is 0. So we do x squared minus 8 times x plus 15. So these two are just 0. So it becomes 0 plus 15, which is just 15, right? So then we just get 0, 15 has the y-intercept, right? and then our graph should go through the lines. Make sense? Okay. Yeah. Let me give you guys a problem to do on your own. Let's try this one. Let's do h of x. Remember, don't forget this one, okay? This is a key concept. Call the graph by its name, right? Like, I'm not gonna call Tejasri Swati, or I'm not gonna call Dwarsky Tejasri, right? The graph has a name. The name of this graph is h of x, so you can't just write y equals. That doesn't work. You can't write f of x equals for this, right? You have to call it by its proper name. So that's an important concept. Let's say we have the graph x squared minus 9. I want you guys to find the x-intercepts, y-intercepts, and vertex. Okay, do you think you guys got that? Does that make sense? Swati, Tejasri, Twarsky. Okay, yeah, it's okay if you guys mess up. I'll answer any questions you guys have. What about Dwarsky and Swati? Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, just try a problem on your own and then we can go from there. Do you guys want me to put up the example or do you guys just want the question? Example? Okay. So I'll do the last one. Yeah, is that good? Can you guys see everything? Yeah. Okay. Let me get this out. Vector. Yeah, blue thing is vertex. Because it's the lowest point of the graph. This one? Let's see. Okay, I'll just put these up. Is this better for everyone? Okay. Awesome. So take a couple of minutes to do that, guys. And then we'll go from there. There's always one number. For this one, you don't really have to use, like, it looks a little different, but it's easier than all the ones I've given you, right? Because remember, just try isolating x. How would you isolate x by itself? All of them? Okay, just hold on to it for 2 minutes so Tejas and Swati aren't swayed, right? But Swati, okay. Okay, let me give you guys a hint. Remember that x squared minus 9 equals 0. If that makes anything a little better. Remember it equals 0, so how would you isolate x by itself? So I think you might know this. Remember we did square roots last class? So you just have to... Yeah? No, no. There's no brackets here, no. Yeah, you would. So you would shift the 9 over here. So then the 9 goes over here. Yeah. What? Yeah, but since 0 is nothing, you know. Well, it would be 0 plus minus 9. Remember, you have to square root it, and that's where the plus minus comes from. When we bring it over, how would... You wouldn't have a negative square number. Well, it is possible, but not in a coordinate plane, in a complex plane, but we aren't gonna go there yet. So, okay, would it be easier if I just show you guys how to get the x-intercept and then you could find the vertex? Okay, here I'll give you guys another hint, okay? So we get this here, this becomes plus 9, so then it's x squared equals 9, 8. And it would be 9, because it's minus 9, right? So then x squared equals 9. Sati, do you remember doing this? Where we got this square root. So what is their x values? It is equal to 3, but is it only equal to 3? Remember, quadratics have 2 x-intercepts. Exactly. So then x is equal to... Alright. So I'll put that down. We found that. So now I want you guys to find the y-intercept and vertex. I'll put the example up. And then... Yeah. You just don't get the vertex still? Okay. Um, let's see. If Swati's done, we'll do the problem. Oh, Swati? Yeah. Sorry, could you repeat that? Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like that. We just plug in. So whenever we put anything over here, right, we would plug it into all of the x's in our equation. Since we only have one x in this equation, we would only plug it into one x. Does that make sense? Like, all this number gives us is a value for the x, right? So we could replace it. We could substitute that in everywhere. Yeah, that would give you the y-intercept. Okay, I'll give you guys like another 3 minutes. I think Tejasri just had some connection issues. What do you mean? 8 times 0? Where? Mm-hmm. 8 times. Because our original problem was 8x squared minus 8x plus. No, but remember this one, we set it to 0, right? So we said that x is equal to 0, right? So since we said that x is equal to 0, we could set all of these x's to 0. So this becomes 0, this becomes 0, right? It's just another way of saying, like, we're giving x a nickname, basically. Like, we're saying, like, here's a new name for x, a new value. Well, yeah, but if we have this has 0, then 8 times 0 is 0, right? Yeah, because when you multiply anything by 0, you would get 0. Does that make sense? Okay. Are you almost done with the problem? Okay, yeah, take your time. What was it? Okay. See. So vertex is 0, -9. Okay. For the y-intercept? Or the vertex? Okay. The y-intercept or the vertex? Okay, you got, alright, 1, alright, 2. What did you get? Okay. Okay, so we'll solve this problem and then we'll go from there. Swati, I'll give you 2 more minutes until 9:45 and then we're gonna start solving this one, okay? Yeah. Okay, do you want me to just solve it then? Okay, and then I'll explain the vertex part more, like I'll put a focus on the vertex part. Okay, so since we already found our x-intercept, everybody's clear with that, right? I'll go with the x-intercept. So our main focus will be on the y-intercept and the vertex, right? So our equation is h of x equals x squared minus 9. Okay, to find the y-intercept, we have to plug in 0 for the x. When we plug in 0 for the x, we have to say all of the x's in our equations are 0. In this case, only this is the only x we have. So it becomes 0 squared minus 9. It's okay. No worries. We just started solving the problem that we were doing, Tejasri. Are you okay with the x-intercept? 0, comma 9? Positive 9? Okay. Did you do the vertex? For what? Okay. Okay, let's start off with the x-intercept then. Is that okay with everyone? We're gonna do the x-intercept first, then we'll go from there. So let's see, we have the equation we're doing for x-intercept. Okay, what does x-intercept mean? It means x is alone, right? So when we have the equation h of x equals x squared minus 9, we want to get rid of this 9. We want x to be by itself, right? We don't want x to be bothered by anything. We know all these functions have to equal 0. So when we do x squared minus 9 equals 0, we want to get this 9 to the other side. So we could set this to 0 by doing plus 9, which then makes it 0. This becomes plus 9. So then it becomes x squared equals 9. But we still don't have x alone. It's x squared. And the best way to undo a square is square root, right? Which gives us x equals plus minus 3, because there are two ways of getting 9, right? Exactly, right? So you could do negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9, or you could do 3 times 3, which is 9, right? That's why we do plus minus 3. So then that gives us our x-intercept has x minus 3, x plus 3. Oh, sorry, plus 3. Are we good with that, Tejasri? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, I'll start making a graph alongside the equation. So we have 2 points, we have negative 3 and 3. So let's do 3, 0. Oops. Let's do, uh-oh. 1 second. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. 1 second. I might have to reshare. Okay. So when we're stuck with this, the other point we had was 0, comma, negative 3. Are we good with this? We had these 2 points. Oops. Okay, let me just charge my iPad 1 second. So to find the y-intercept, remember that we have to set all the x's to 0, right? So we'd have to set all the x's to 0. So we would do h of 0 equals x squared minus 9, which tells us, hey, h is now all x's equals 0. We have an x right here, right? So we could just do h of 0 equals 0 squared minus 9, which is h of 0 equals negative 9. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so we could plug that in here. Negative 9. Swati, does that make sense? Okay, so we have 0, negative 9. Now we have to find the vertex. Remember the vertex formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Remember? So all the x-intercepts are like it's like let's say Swati and Tejasri live right by each other, but they don't want to walk more. They want to meet in the middle, so none of them have to walk. So it's just x and 1 are meeting in the middle ground, right? Yeah, basically median. I was just saying, like, let's say you and Swati are trying to meet up and like hang out, go to a mall, whatever. You would want to meet in the middle, right? You wouldn't want to walk more, or Swati wouldn't want to walk more. So this is like we could do your house plus her house, right? That gives us a long number divided by 2, and that would give us like the midpoint, basically. If any of you took geometry, this is the midpoint formula, right? So in this case, let's plug in our values. We have x has negative 3 plus 3 divided by 2. Now this just gives us 0, right? 0 divided by 2, which is 0. So the vertex is at 0 comma something, right? But before we start doing anything, let's look at our graph. Remember, this point is 0, 0, 0, 0. We have a vertex at 0 something, but we also have the y-intercept at 0 something, right? So we know this is vertex and y-intercept. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do that more with the graphing for next class, right? Because we're ending time right now. So, class ends in 8 minutes. Okay? So we could do that next class. There's also graphing imaginary numbers, but that's a little harder. So I want to get like the basic graphing down this class. Do you guys think you guys have time to do one more? You're not sure. Yeah, this will be. Let's. Okay, yeah. As long as I just want you to try finding the vertex and the intercepts, right? This one will be just like the ones we did before. Okay? Easy enough, right? Do you guys see my screen? There. So you guys have until the end of class to solve this one. Remember, we want the x-intercept. We want the y-intercepts. And then we want the, what is it? Vertex. Okay, so try your best, guys. You guys got this. And if you have any questions, talk to me right now and I'll clear it up. Okay, what did you get stuck on? Mm-hmm. Why would you need to root square this one? But remember, that's only when we have only two numbers, x minus 9, right? This one, since it's like the one we've been doing, we would have to take... Yeah, because it has three numbers. We only do it when it's this number because in this case, the third number is a 0, right? That's why. So that's why... Oh, does that make sense? Okay. You got the answer? Okay, give me 1 second. My iPad is being a little weird. Okay, yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Uh-huh. the format for getting the y-intercept. Okay, I mean, you just plug in zeros for wherever you have x's. Let 70? Okay, yeah, let me share my screen. 1 second. My iPad is not doing the best right now. It's like heating up, sorry. Oh, there. Do you guys see? No? Okay. 1 second. But give me a second till I fix my iPad. But Tejasri, remember if you plug in zeros for your x's, anything times a zero is zero, right? So you wouldn't get 70 because 7 times 0 would give you 0, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know why my iPad is being so weird. Why wouldn't it be possible? What? 1 second, let me. Okay. So, let me share my screen to join on my phone because it was being weird. So, when we have something like this, so when we have something like this, right? What was our equation, guys? 8? We had 8x? Oh, h. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, h of x. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So let's try finding the x-intercepts and such. So, do you guys want to just solve it because class is basically over? Right? So, Dwarsky, what did you get? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Did you do a vertex? $75. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, yeah. So do the vertex and then we'll finish off class with this problem. Um, So you could round it, but using decimals in math is okay because, I mean, usually we express it as a fraction, like 1/3, 2/5, but we could also do a decimal. So, for graphing, you could just put like a point. You could put your own point, like right below 27, like 26.75, right? Because you're not get. Yeah, sure. So, Tejashri, are you okay with that? Okay, so since we all find the x-intercept, I'll just move on to the y-intercept and vertex then. Okay? Or do you guys want me to solve for x as well? I'll take that as a no. So for y-intercept, we have negative x squared. So remember how we did a process of um, our process is to set it has h of 0, right? H of 0 is equal to negative 0 squared plus 7, 0 minus 10. Dworsky, did you graph it by the way? Alright. So h of 0 would then just equal negative 10 because these two equals these, well, 0 plus 7 times 0 is just 0, right? Are we clear on that? Yeah, so y-intercept is minus 10. Swati, Tejashri, clear on that? Sorry. Yeah? Okay. So then let's do vertex. Remember, our vertex is just x1 plus x2 divided by 2, right? Are we good on that? So our two x values that we got were 2 and 5. So let's plug that in. We have 2 plus 5 divided by 2. 2 plus 5 is just 7. So it becomes 7 divided by... Yeah. So we get 3, oops. We get equals 3.5. And then our original equation is y equal, well, h of x, sorry. H of x equals negative x squared minus 7x plus 10. So then we do h of 3.5 equals negative 3.5 squared minus 7 3.5 plus 10. Yeah. No. That's just 7 and then bracket 3.5. Let me... One second. There. So then we just do the problem, right? And then 3.5 square is 12.25. Negative, remember? Negative 12.25 minus, and then 7 times 3.5 would give you 24.5. So 24.5 plus 10, right? Are we good until here? Does that make sense? Okay. And then we could add these two up, which give us negative 12.25 minus 24.5. Right, and then this just gives us, when we minus it, it gives us negative 36.75, right? Are we good on that? 26.7. Okay. So any questions? Wait, let me just double check this. Okay. Okay, and then do we do -10 or +10? Equation was -10, right? Okay, so wait. Oh, okay, so our original equation was -10 and we flipped it over here. Okay. So we would have to kind of redo this. I did not realize that. Sorry, guys. So this becomes -10 then, right? So then this is all gone. Right? When this gives us -10, that becomes h of no, never. It's fine. It's fine. But you guys get the idea, right? How we do it. Sort of. Okay. We can go more into this next class. We're just over the time for this class. But I'll teach you guys more about this next class so you guys are more familiar with it and better with it. Then we'll also do some complex numbers next class. Okay? Alright. You guys are free to go now. Have a great weekend. Bye. Bye.